Hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Nicole Rose, and I'm a video producer working for the International Space Station Research Office, and I'm here today to talk to you a bit about video production at NASA. So, at NASA, we like to say that the mission is the message. So, we take communications really seriously. We want to make sure that the American taxpayer who's paying taxpayer dollars for NASA's mission is able to see and understand all of the great things that we're doing here at NASA. So as you can see, we have a vision statement here, exploring the secrets of the universe for the benefit of all, which is really cool. And then, of course, we have NASA's mission. NASA explores the unknown in air and space. We innovate for the benefit of humanity, and we inspire the world through discovery. And there's just a few pictures there about the different kind of NASA missions we have going on. But on the communications side of things at NASA, we also love to say that the camera is the mission. This is one of my favorite pictures. It's an astronaut out on a spacewalk taking a selfie. So it's cool that behind him you can see the International Space Station, different pieces of it, and then in the reflection on his helmet you can see the camera that he's holding. You can see the Earth that he's looking at in front of him. It's just a really cool image, and just crazy to think about the fact that there are people in space not only doing amazing spacewalks but taking selfies while they do it too. So that's really cool. And of course, this is nothing new for NASA. This is an image on the left of Neil Armstrong actually training with a video camera before his Apollo 11 mission to the moon. And then on the right is video of him setting up that same camera equipment and just doing what he trained in his EVA suit there. So since the beginning of human spaceflight, NASA's known that it's important to show the world the amazing things that we do. And with that, of course, comes all kinds of different camera technology, different photographers and videographers to train the amazing astronauts that actually get to go to these places and take the cameras with them. So it's really cool what we get to do here at NASA. And then, of course, moving through NASA's history, going to the shuttle program. This is when NASA was able to get really cool views during launches. We had a lot of shuttle launches at Kennedy Space Center. And of course, there were all kinds of camera operators getting the amazing views while these shuttles lifted off, using film cameras and also sharing it through live broadcasts. Then moving on, we have the amazing Mars Perseverance rover. I'm sure you guys saw these images as the Perseverance rover made it to Mars. It's so cool to think of the many different cameras that it took to get these angles. These are some gifts that NASA shared. And just seeing the view of the surface of Mars on the right there and that dust flying everywhere, it's hard to believe that these images have been sent back to us from so far in our universe. And then, of course, NASA's latest marvel is the James Webb Space Telescope. We all know Webb already from the amazing images that have been shared from that mission, but of course there are video producers, video editors taking those images and making some really cool products too. So I'd like to share this one with you now.
The pillars of creation lie 6,500 light years away. This area is brimming with gas and dust, essential ingredients for star formation. A new near-infrared image from the Webb Space Telescope shows the scene in high definition. Glowing, bright red wavy lines appear at the edges of some pillars, revealing where stars are ejecting material as they form. The bright red orbs are newly formed stars that have burst into view. Distant galaxies typically make appearances in Webb's images, but not this one. A translucent layer of gas and dust is drawn like a curtain, allowing the stars to take center stage. Webb's near-infrared image of the pillars of creation will help researchers update their models of star formation. Over time, we'll learn how stars form and burst out of these dusty clouds over millions of years.
I just think this is a really great example of taking a simple image. I mean, obviously it's a complicated image. It took a lot to get there, and it's a marvelous image. But taking one picture and writing a cool voiceover script, putting it to a little bit of music, and just really taking this heavy science topic and sharing it with the public through video in a really easy edit. So This, of course, this video is a great example of a lot of the things that I'm sure you're learning in your classes now, like how to use an editing system, keyframes, moving the image around, how to record a voiceover, how to, then place that voiceover and that music onto a timeline and export a video like this. So this is just an example of the kind of things that are happening at NASA pretty much every day. And then the latest excitement here at NASA is our Artemis mission, which is going to be launching very soon. And we are so excited to send a rocket to the moon in this Artemis 1 test flight. And this is a trailer for that mission, just getting people excited to watch the launch. As you can see, we use a lot of animations because oftentimes we're communicating about missions that are happening in the future or that are happening far away where we won't have cameras. So if you like to animate, that's also something that we do at NASA. What I do is work for the International Space Station. So this is the International Space Station, flying 250 miles above the Earth. It is a laboratory, so there's all kinds of science happening in space, in microgravity, right now. At any given time, there's about 250 different investigations going on the space station, both inside and outside. A lot of the science, though, is conducted by our astronauts. So they are working inside the space station to conduct science on behalf of a lot of different researchers on the ground that a lot of times are walking them through the science or watching it live as it's happening. And all of this research is conducted to benefit either us here back on the ground or to help NASA's missions to explore further into space. So it's really cool. And this is some examples of some different B-roll that was shot on station. And this is examples of the kind of footage that I work with a lot. So the astronauts up on the space station have tons of cameras up there that they use to record most everything that they do. So I then take that footage and I edit videos to help people understand the different science experiments that are happening and why they're important for you and me here on the ground. So as you can see, lots of cool video shots both inside and outside. Now I'd like to play an example of one of our video products that we use a lot. This is kind of our Space Station Science Overview video that I made a couple years ago that will give you an idea of the kind of science that's happening on station and what our team is all about.
The International Space Station is a state-of-the-art microgravity laboratory that is unlocking discoveries not possible on Earth and helping us push farther into deep space.
Every single day, we are answering big questions about Earth and about space, about where we came from and about where we're going. But the other thing that we're doing is we're learning more questions to ask.
Microgravity turns almost everything we know upside down. Liquids behave completely differently. Fire burns in new ways. Biological systems reveal surprises.
There's a few things that have made me gasp out loud up on board the space station. Watching heart cells actually beat has been a pretty big one.
We're studying ways to grow food in microgravity.
I got to tell you, these are pretty amazing.
We're learning how human bodies react to life in space and how to keep crew members safe and strong on long-duration exploration missions.
Deadlifts are awesome on Earth. They're also awesome in zero gravity.
We're testing technologies that will be critical to our return to the moon and Great Leap to Mars. Our research has contributed to medical and social benefits on our home planet, allowing us to find new ways to combat disease back on Earth and develop technologies to deliver clean water to remote communities in need. The spectacular vantage point of more than 200 miles above our planet supports our monitoring of Earth's climate, natural disasters, and plant life.
The orbital perspective that we have here on the ISS is just absolutely amazing. Earth is gorgeous.
The growing new space economy, so vital to our continued progress in space, is flourishing in low Earth orbit. We're inspiring future generations from a platform that is one of the largest international collaborations of our time. We're doing science at 17,500 miles per hour. Come along for the ride.
So what do we do? So the team that I am on, we use a range of different tools to tell the story of the research being conducted on the space station every day. So this includes feature stories, online videos, social media, presentations, and communicating with the crew and more. So here's some examples of a feature written on nasa.gov, a cool flame video that we put out on Twitter, and then we also, of course, put videos out on YouTube, talk about astronauts taking photos of the Earth for scientific experiments, all kinds of things like that. So specifically, my job on the team is as the video producer. So I create, publish, and promote video content that shares the story of the research happening on the space station and the people on the ground who make it happen. I work with other video producers too to help tell our story. So it's not always just me making the videos or me doing the edit. Sometimes it's just sharing different footage. Maybe somebody's looking for a certain kind of flame video or this cool microscope video that is playing right now. We love to share this with anyone who wants to help tell our story. So in these two pictures here, you can see at the bottom, that's the back of my head there with a camera, filming an interview with astronaut Don Pettit and another person on my team conducting the interview. And that's happening in a space station mock-up next to one of our facilities on the left there. That's actually a piece of hardware where the astronauts can safely ignite flames in space and study those. So we shoot a lot of interviews with experts on the ground, but again, most of my footage is actually coming from space. So my career did not start at NASA. I wish I had known when I was in video production classes like you guys in high school, that NASA hired people who were interested in all kinds of communication and video production and graphic design, in animation, broadcasters, all kinds of things like that. I had no idea. So I actually started like you guys in video production classes in high school. I loved it so much that I decided to go to college for it as well. So I went to Ohio University and studied media arts and studies with focus on video production, learned all kinds of camera techniques, and again, kind of just loved every minute of it and decided I wanted to make a career out of it. I did internships in New York and London and learned a lot more about production and production for brands. When I moved to Houston, I got a job working for Chi Hair Straighteners. That's the picture of the hair straightener on the top there, and did their in-house videos, a lot of how-to videos about how to curl and straighten your hair and things like that. And then I moved into healthcare. So that photo there of me standing next to a cadaver knee and just looking terrified, knowing that it's my turn next to touch that camera and have to look directly at it, is an example of some of the work that I did in hospitals. I spent a lot of time in ORs, interviewing patients about their experience at the hospital. It was really a lot of fun and very rewarding. But yeah, this is a photo from the beginning of my time there where I was not quite ready for the gore. But luckily, moving to Houston, I met different people who worked at NASA and talked about the different kinds of jobs there. And I found out that, hey, there's NASA TV that, of course, takes people like me to produce. And NASA is all over social media and posting videos all the time. And hey, somebody must be making this. And through, searching for different job opportunities online and interviewing a few times, I finally landed a job with a NASA contractor. Being able to do what I love, which is producing videos and actually talking about space and rockets and astronauts and people in space and science happening in space all the time, which is just a really amazing and rewarding job. One thing though, however, that I don't get to do in my job is actually go to space. So of course I have to rely on the astronauts to be the photographers and the videographers to help us share their story. So the photo on the right here is the coolest camera on the space station, which is the red helium camera. This is an 8K cinematic, awesome camera that we have on space station that I am always begging the astronauts to use. And they, on the left there, is the video footage that this astronaut is shooting. So this was for a project that we did that was actually the first time that 8K footage was released from the space station. And this is actually footage of a blood draw happening. So this is a big part of the research that the astronauts do on the space station, because a lot of times it's human research and they are the ones actually doing the science on themselves. So blood draws is a big part of that. That blood gets sent back to the researchers on the ground who can then analyze it and see how life in space is affecting our astronauts. But most of my days actually look like this. Since I'm not in space, I am sitting at my desk in my home office. I'm a remote worker now. And staring at my iMac and editing most days. So you are probably recognizing what you see on the screen here. It's Adobe Premiere Pro. That's the software that I currently use for editing. This is an interview that was shot with 2 astronauts up on the space station. Jessica Watkins is talking in this image. And you can see my timeline here, that it's part of a video that I'm putting together, kind of highlighting this particular crew and their mission and all the cool science that they did. So I'm taking the B-roll that they shot. That's an example on the left there is of a plant experiment. I think they're growing radishes in that one. And splicing that together with their interviews. And then, of course, rendering it out and putting it out on YouTube, on social media, on NASA TV, so that all of us here on Earth can learn about the cool things happening in space. So, of course, these videos are shared on social media. Here's an example of a tweet from our ISS research account. We often make these kind of hype videos before a cargo resupply mission to the space station. This is when they're sending up all the new science experiments to the space station for the crew to conduct throughout their mission. So we put these videos together and put them out on Twitter so that people can see what's on board this vehicle and what's about to happen on the space station. And then on the right is an example of an Instagram reel that we made recently. Now and then I get lucky and I get to actually ask the astronauts to shoot something specific just for us. So what I do is I'll put together kind of a storyboard for them. I'll put some ideas together. This one, we ask them to play around with water and to show us examples of surface tension on the space station, because water is just so different in space and it actually has a lot of really cool scientific applications, which is what this caption here on the right is explaining. So a lot of work goes into just making a reel like this. We had to storyboard this a bit, send some instructions on some certain camera angles, things like that, visualize it a bit for the astronauts on the space station, send that up to them. They shoot the video, they downlink it back down to us, and then we kind of took it and edited it and added a little bit of text to explain exactly what was happening there, and it just turned out for a really cool reel. So this one actually has 5.9 million views right now, so it's amazing when you're working for NASA, and that's just obviously such a well-known brand and well-known federal agency. It's amazing how many views you can get when you have these kind of followers. So this is on the space station account, and yeah, I think just when you can show people footage like this that they maybe have never seen before, people get really excited about it. So it's really awesome to be able to share these things with the world. So another thing we do at NASA is a whole lot of live productions. So there are a whole lot of people involved in getting broadcasts produced and out to the world. So this is an example of some Crew 4 broadcasts. So, everything from the very beginning of their mission, where they're just putting on their spacesuits, getting ready to launch, to going out to the launch pad and being sent up to the space station and talking to you and me about their experience there. So we do a lot of live downlinks, like that image on the bottom there, and where the astronauts are, taking questions from students or from the media and explaining kind of their mission and what they've been up to and why it's important and just what it's like to be in space. We get a lot of questions about that too, so that's really fun to share. And our team works on quite a few special projects too. On the left is a poster from a really cool project we worked on with Felix and Paul Studios. It was a VR project on Oculus. So Felix and Paul Studios sent 360 cameras up into the space station and created a series called Space Explorers, the ISS Experience, which is just a beautiful, cinematic, amazing VR experience, a totally different way to see the space station. Really inspiring interviews with the astronauts. They just did an amazing job on it, and as you can see, actually won an Emmy Award for it. My role in that was really specific. It was to help the director, Felix, understand what different aspects of the space station look like. So we'd, figure out what kind of science was about to happen soon, and we'd go back into the video library and find different clips for him to understand, okay, in the past when they did a similar experiment, this is what it looked like, this is about how long it took, this is where the astronaut was placed, this is where the hardware was placed. So all that kind of stuff really helps the director, visualize the kind of shots that he wants. So then when he sent the instructions to the crew on where to place the camera, he got exactly the kind of shot that he wanted to get. So that was a lot of fun to be part of. The middle image is a really cool VR filter that we made for Instagram. That was kind of our first time making one of those, and a lot of fun. So one of the animators on our team took a cupola image, which is a really cool module in the space station with all these windows where the astronauts can look down on Earth. And he kind of mocked it up into a VR filter. So if you go on Instagram on the International Space Station account, you can record a video like this of yourself too. And then recently we've done a big push called Benefits for Humanity. This was actually a print book that we also promoted a lot digitally. So we made all kinds of videos, we did different GIFs for social media, all kinds of digital products around these different stories that we gathered about how International Space Station science is benefiting people on Earth. One project that we did a couple years ago, but I still think is really cool, is a documentary project. So this is my favorite form of video production. I love shooting kind of documentary style, a little bit more run and gun, interviewing experts about the really cool science that they're doing and just what it takes to get it there. So we followed this team of 2 researchers sending their science up to space for the very first time, and kind of what it took to get their samples prepared, get the hardware ready to go, the payload developers who helped them figure all of that out, and then followed their science all the way up to the space station through operations with the astronauts, and then back down to the ground and ready to analyze and find results. So it's kind of a cool 7-episode story arc. You can find it at that URL there. And it's just really cool to follow these science experiments kind of from inception all the way through to the end. Just wanted to make sure that y'all were aware of internships at NASA. So if you decide to pursue a career in some sort of communications or multimedia field, NASA hires a lot of these things. Again, I had no idea about that when I was in high school and in college, and I wish I would have known. So if you do get to the point of studying this at the college level, there are a lot of internships available for you, and as you can see, they are pretty much all around the country. So if you go to intern.nasa.gov, that's where they're all posted. And here's some just key search terms that you might want to start with. Every group kind of calls what we do something a little bit different. But if you use these search terms and look around, there are definitely internships open in science communications, in video production for different NASA centers. You can find yourself filming launches. I mean, there's just all kinds of options available to you. So if you qualify, definitely apply. And yeah, if you'd like to follow more of the mission of the International Space Station, here are the places where you can find us online and of course on social media too. This is where you'll see the videos that I make and the awesome, amazing photos that the astronauts shoot and all kinds of different cool stories about the science happening on the space station. So good luck with your video projects, and thanks for joining me today.